Today is Monday, and of course it is the 21st of August 2023, and yes, definitely we're in a new week. Yeah, are you ready for the new week, or you're still wondering on how you're going to start your day? Anyway, get out of bed. You know, if you're on the way, please speed up, because it's a new week, and of course we are wrapping up. Actually, we are finalizing with the month of August, getting into October. So far, how have you progressed so far in line of business, in line of work? Anyway, this is Smartman's Business every Monday to Friday, taking you from 7 and of course to 9:55 a.m. and of course we are here to give you anything regarding business. Are you informed? Did you miss out on certain things in related to information? Anyway, my name is Masa Katsime, and I'll be taking you today in Smart Men's Business. And of course, before that, don't forget to trade with Zabo. And of course, it tells you if you want to invest in government bonds and securities, Zabo is your #1 place to go. And of course, you can follow the prompts if you dial 292 hash, and of course follow the procedures, and you can invest for as low as 15,000 Ugandan shillings, and of course get yourself cash at the end of whichever year period you're required to. And of course the beginning time will go to 8:15 a.m. to 3:15 a.m. That is approximately 6 hours of work. So definitely within that hour, if you want to invest, Zabo got you. And of course, Autotex East Africa says, do something new, and Zabo, my money, my future. Well, of course, as you hope to invest, well, today in our morning call, we're going to focus on microfinancing, as microfinancing institutes last week, actually, they came up with a proposal, and it said microfinance institutions minimum capital requirement set at 5 billion. That's some money right there. And of course, the chairperson of the committee, Amos Kankunda, who represented a report on Thursday last week, and said that there is need for legal regime that enables majority of microfinance institutions to mobilize deposits to enhance financial inclusion. Definitely, I must concur, I must agree with him. He is definitely right if you want to have a better Uganda in regards to finance. And of course, Parliament has set the minimum capital requirement for microfinance deposit-taking institutions, MDIs, at 5 billion Ugandan shillings. Not dollars, but Ugandan shillings. And of course, the new threshold is contained in a statutory instrument on the revision of the minimum capital requirements presented to the House following a harmonization process by the Committee of Finance Planning and Economic Development. Now, of course, this is what the chairperson of the committee said. He said that there is need for a legal regime that enables majority of microfinance institutions to mobilize deposits to enhance financial inclusion. Now, in his very words, he says to ensure equity among MDIs and aspiring tier 4 institutions, the minimum paid-up cash requirement should be based on the size of the balance sheet in the institution. So, weighing on your balance sheet, that is the amount of money you're going to be charged, okay? If it is a smaller one, they're going to go for a smaller one. If it's a bigger one, that means the money will increase, of course. And of course, the majority of such institutions operate under tier 4 like SACCOs, and are not legally allowed to take these kinds of deposits. 5 billion Ugandan shillings. They're not allowed to take these kinds of deposits. Now, of course, Kakunda added that the Bank of Uganda should annually review the deposited instrument within 1 year to determine the right percentage of minimum capital requirement. Of course, this is those that are into microfinancing, and of course, like most circles are into that. Do they have the required finance that can facilitate people that are requesting for loans, or it's just we are going to be, you go to ask for a loan and definitely you cannot get one. Anyway, and of course, the Tier 4 microfinance institutions under the control of the central bank, as per section 110 of the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders Act of 2016, will be exempted from the statutory instrument. Now, of course, the opposition in Parliament had requested that the money be set at 2 billion, while government is set at 10 billion. The difference, 2 billion and government set at 10 billion. Anyway, we shall see how this turns out. And of course, as microfinance has set the minimum capital requirement at 5 billion. Is that really fair? Or we can look for another alternative. And of course, away from our morning call, we shall look at what is happening in the press. Well, of course, a lot has been happening over the weekend, and of course, events happening, and of course, even in business, a lot has been going on in our country, Uganda, and of course, here to give you on what has been happening. Just in case you missed out, the New Vision, Daily Monitor, and the East African have you to give you more information about it all. Starting off with the New Vision, London court orders Bitature to pay back 130 billion shillings. Well, what did Bitature get himself into? Get yourself a Daily Monitor right there, and New Vision right here. Of course, you'll get more details on this story. And of course, our very own, please applaud this gentleman, of course, Cheptegei, winning the 3rd world title right there. Good representation, still fit regardless, still fit. And of course, if you want to know how many kilometers he covered, we have got you in the sports, of course, updates. Now, of course, ex-Mukono boss loses case against New Vision. Okay, that and more in the New Vision. And of course, government loses over 20 billion in silk projects. You know what that is? Silk is a thing. People are into silk. Even clothing, materials, silk is a thing. And of course, that is it for the daily, for the New Vision. And of course, more stories, juicy stories, if you get yourself the New Vision. And of course, in the Daily Monitor, still our champion waving the flag right there. Joshua Cheptegei still having it in his system. You know, once you're an athlete, you're always an athlete. These guys are trained to run mountains and hills, you know. Start running, you know. You never know, you could be one of the champions that are, you know, making us proud in Uganda. And of course, still Bitature making headlines all over. Demand. And of course, UPDF Kano draws gun on police officer. And of course, police impound a car laden with explosives. Wow, that and more when you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. And of course, those who are interested in, of course, knowing, Uganda Airlines opens direct route to Mumbai. Wow, I must applaud that. That's we are progressing when it comes to flights these days. I'm loving the what Uganda Airlines is doing, regardless of what happened, transpired. They're coming up and making compensation, which is good. It's positive. I like that fact. The route becomes the national carrier's second international route after heading to Dubai. Quite interesting right there. And of course, government issues certificates to juveniles, those youngsters that are into crime, juveniles right there. And of course, the Ministry of Education, Sports through the Directorate of Industrial Training has started accessing employable skills and competitiveness that juveniles in conflict with the law can acquire while serving their sentences in remand homes. I must agree. I mean, they still have a long way. They still have a long way to go when it comes to life. So definitely, why not acquire a skill, regardless of whichever captivity you're in. If you're in prison, definitely, at least once you're out, you know, I didn't get out with nothing. You know, you can start from there. good initiative right there that government is doing. And of course, with our today's story making headlines, still, if you really, this businessman, if he inspires you, you have to know the reasons as to why he's into this, this kind of battle that is happening right there. And of course, I am, if we could set our eyes in the New Vision, very many stories have been making headlines. And of course, the school, you remember the school that we came and said 100 and so students had food poisoning. Actually, it wasn't true. It was contaminated. You know, the things we use, actually, metal, these are not hygienic, okay? So definitely, at the end of the day, the food that students consume, they are at risk. They are at risk of the food being contaminated. It is not covered and all. So definitely, we have to be cautious with the food that our students or ourselves consume. You know, we do not know how the food is prepared. And of course, that is it. And of course, promoting politics of interest for stability. Museveni urges the youth. Actually, it was International Youth Day celebrations right there in Kabale. And of course, a lot was said regarding to youth, emphasizing on skilling, which we've been talking about day in, day out. And of course, right with me, I'm joined with Andrew Barije. Andrew Barije, how is your morning? How was your weekend? Please tell us, give us a small story of how your weekend was.
Well, it was quite normal. Nothing really, just like any other normal day. My morning is fine. I'm really doing great. And I'm grateful that as I've been coming, I've seen some roadworks that are moving on.
Yes.
That's something which is quite very promising and very good, you know, the infrastructures, because some of these roads are really in a very, very, very horrible state.
Yes.
If you look at them, you know, lots of accidents have been happening. So that is a little bit the great thing about this morning. And I found out some constructions, roadblocks in here. Of course, despite the limitations of congestion, jam and all that. I mean, but of course, the bigger picture is that we shall have a safer country.
Most of the roads actually took that side. The roads are dusty because they're trying to dusty, the dust is out. But anyway, I've seen some where they're trying to patch up the potholes.
Yeah,
it's okay. At the end of the year, we shall have had some progress. Those that were inquiring on when the construction is going to take place. Anyway, it's already taking place, and who knows? By the end of the year, we shall have ourselves good roads. Those that are going to villages will have to travel. No more bumps on the road.
Exactly. All right, now as we get into the East African here, as we see the top page, something here to do, of course, with the battle that is happening to the Democratic Republic of Congo, something to do with the SADC or the ESC who will exit, you know, and of course there is something here to do with exit MONUSCO, who is next. And a brief report here briefly really outlines that Congo's southern neighbors are sending in a force that is to buttress its defenses as the UN mission definitely leaves after 25 years, of course, shared history as a result of that. And of course, the United Nations warns that the security situation in the troubled East could worsen, of course, unless another mission steps in. And of course, the ultimate question is, who will it be? ESC, the East African Community, or the SADC? And of course, that is the embattled nation, of course, due to its minerals, a nation that has suffered exploitation for centuries by both, of course, in collaboration of the Western powers and also the African powers at the same time. Now, of course, Somalia set to join the East African Community this year, of course, says the Secretary General Matuki. And of course, I can see in the report here, the negotiations begin on August 22nd this very year, and officials in Mogadishu and Arusha, of course, await this particular decision. So that is a broadening of the East African Community. But you know one thing I've discovered, Mercy? From the time the East African Community was formed, I remember, let's get from the first 5 years after Uganda got independence, that is 62. When this understanding was formed, it seemed a little bit much more productive when we had Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. You know, these are facts. But I mean, you look like, okay, it looks like the farther it has expanded, the less efficient it has been. And I mean, that is something that really amazes me quite so much.
I mean, I think it's because maybe we have different ideologies, you know, every country.
Ideologies, and probably some of, okay, I'm just saying, some of the member states, there is a possibility that they enter with, you know, there is this perspective is that if I'm coming into this relationship, what am I providing?
Yeah.
Of course, I have my expectations, but also I need to have something I put to the table.
Yes.
So probably, maybe that is where things go wrong.
They do not have what to put on table?
I'm not saying that. There is a possibility. I'm giving all these possibilities.
I mean, expectations are in both ends.
That, okay, the fact that some of the nations actually drain the former nations, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya.
That is what I was
okay,
thinking.
I'm just, something of the...
But of course, you know, the very first 5 years, actually...
After independence, after 1962.
Yes, after independence, because now everyone has now come out of, you know, colonial rule, and now that was the best idea, cooperation coming in together. You know, so that means they had to fight as much as they can to do away, to work hard, to do away with whatever that had transpired. So that is why it was able to catch up in the five years. It's like a marriage in the first 5 years. Wow.
It's always, but after...
Always, but when you get used to each other, you know, you get to know weaknesses. You fight amongst yourselves. So definitely, when it exceeds more years, there is a bit of strain in there.
Yeah. Because
everyone realizes the kind of potential they have individually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Now, of course, you see something here with Yella rejects $5 million a budget that is meant for translation of work. Of course, you find that out further as you get the copy of the East Africa. Of course, it's a weekly copy that comes out every Monday. Now, of course, here, still in the news section, no funds to support, that is the Democratic Republic of Congo refugees in Tanzania. Refugees in Congo, of course, in Tanzania from Congo, there is no fund for them as a result of that. Now, of course, we see Russia moves to fill void left by France. That is in West Africa. And of course, I see Vladimir Putin here with the gentleman that actually commanded the coup in Niger. And of course, yes, they're meeting here. And well, that is something that anyway, what picture does it really present out there for West Africa, but also for Africa at large?
By the way, that the ECOWAS thing has really, the war in Ukraine and Russia, people have actually given it less attention now. The focus is now here in ECOWAS.
Exactly.
And the big states trying as much as they can to have power. So definitely, I must say, really, that is the kind of life we're living as Africans. They will shift, we focus our eyes on
something. Yet there is something that is happening behind there.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, now that there is this instability is in there, and people are not seeing it.
Okay.
People are not seeing it's going to affect them in the coming years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. And you see what Russia is doing in here? Because there is a confusion in here. Because, supporting the coups, so with Vladimir Putin being here, just shows that there is, is supporting overthrow of leaders. And what does that have? What picture is it going to present out there to the rest of the African countries? Well, that is it from the press updates, and now crossover. And as we take a look at the traffic, it's a Monday morning, and I believe actually the jam is a little bit coming down. Of course, we saw that last week. Some of the pupils went back to, from school, were getting back home holidays. Though, of course, the official dates is this week on 25th, but of course, some schools always leave a little bit earlier. Well, now as we head into the images that we observe, and in there coming in from the access road, the Ginger Road traffic lights, and we are putting our eyes on the access road. And according to the look of things, well, it looks quite congested, most especially at the access road roundabout. Talking about 6th Street, 7th Street, and 8th Street. Of course, the individuals that stay in those areas, you can really see that it's quite congested, most especially the pothole, the roundabout there. Of course, playing a very key factor when it comes to delays and movement of the vehicles. Okay, so for the people that are coming in from Zambia, probably Chiwuli side, and well, you're coming to the city center, and you're planning particularly to use this direction, you're likely to be delayed a little bit. That is to head to a different destination, according to the look of things here. Well, it's a little bit in motion, not so strange or static, but surprisingly, we are only witnessing this after the vehicles have just been given a relief of release to get in there. But the album question is that once a stop happens, how thick will the fleet be? How thick will the lines be? That is the greatest determining factor, because at the time we've looked at this, the vehicles have just been set free. That is to go in other destinations. But anyway, it's a little bit mild, but you can still find another option. You can try the clock tower and see if it's not still viable. You can, well, rather stick around in here. But anyway, it also depends on which direction you're heading to. If you're heading to city center, probably clock tower would be the best option. But if you're living Chiwuli and you're probably heading to Wandegea, you're heading to the areas of Bombo Road, you're heading to Malago Kamocha, well, this would be the best option for you. Okay, now as we switch our eyes, this is Kampala Road linking up with the Ginger Road. Vehicles just held a little bit, but of course for you to survive that, you can always make a shortcut, pass via the Nile Avenue, you link up to Garden City, you come out here and then you proceed. That is for those that are heading like Nakawa, you're coming from the city center, you're heading to Nakawa, you're heading to Tinda, you're heading to so many more of those areas along Ginger Road. Sometimes these lights really take long, and if you're really in a hurry, it's better, because so many times you can even use that shortcut and you still find that the vehicles are still held back in there. So it's time wasting. Now, finally, as we take a look at the Port Bell Road, of course, talking about Bugalobi now, that condition, like I told you, it's a combination of the vehicles that are coming in from Ginger Road, coming in from Weyogere, Chireka-Banda, and those that are coming in from Bugolobi, Lozirach, Tintalen. So they all reach up there, and it becomes very congested. So in most cases, so if you're coming in from Luzira, you're coming in from Bugolobi, you can actually see how you can link up to Namuwongo. Probably you land over to areas, you'll actually be in position to link up to somewhere in Kabalagala, then you can proceed to the clock tower. Otherwise here it's quite much more worse. And of course, taking a look at the Yusuf Rule route, linking all the way from the Nile Avenue, it also seems to be tight, a number of vehicles coming in from there, but it's in motion. That is for those that are just not going to be a part of this line. But if you proceed into Nakao, because that's the route I was telling you, to avoid the Ginger Road traffic lights, for you to be held, pass by the Nile Avenue, click to the Garden City, then proceed. Well, that is it for our traffic updates this morning. It's exactly 28 minutes past 7. And of course, that is the situation like this Monday. So you can actually, based on that, to make the appropriate decision and see what really works out for you much more better. Well, still to remind you that the markets on the Zabo platform are back. It's a Monday, and start 92 hash is simply the code for you to participate into them. And here you'll be in position to actually buy government bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. So the markets are going to be opening at exactly 8:15 a.m. running all the way to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time, effective up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays when those markets cannot be accessed. But of course, Monday and up to Friday is always there, and no public holidays for some time for now, so you can really trade. Zabo made this a reality. Simply start 92 hash. And on top of that, you have to register with your national identification number, regardless of where you're located. You are in the south, east, west. As long as you have you dare start 92 hash, and regardless of whether you have a button phone or a smartphone, you'll still be in position to access them. Zabo says, my money, my future, and Altix East Africa, well, tells you gotta do something new for yourself. Remember, it is 2023. Smart means business takes a short break, and we shall be returning to, of course, review what's happening onto the East African community and the international business community. Stick around.